Okay. We will start with candidate number 1.
Okay, I love these microphones. Good evening, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Reuter, and first I'd like to thank the Chamber and the Legislative Action Committee for hosting this really important event. I think that informed voters are the best voters that any community can ever ask for, and so having an event like this is really crucial. I've been on the Board of Education for Glendora Unified School District for 6 years. I've served on various committees on the Board of Education. Right now, I'm focused on the Regional Occupational Program, the San Gabriel Valley ROP. I've served as the Glendora member on that board for the past 2 years, and I'm president of that board right now. Prior to being on the board, I was held a co-president role and board member role for the Glendora Education Foundation, various roles in the PTA as our kids were younger and in the elementary schools. And an important committee that I co-chaired with was the Measure GG Bond Committee in 2017. We all know that that bond didn't pass, but I learned a lot from that committee. So I've been engaged at a strategic level with Glendora Unified School District since we moved here 10 years ago. I'm really looking forward to hearing from everybody at this table tonight and getting the opportunity to understand what everybody's positions are.
Candidate number 2.
Sounds good. I'm going to stand if you don't mind. So my name is Dr. Daniel Cayem. I'm a licensed psychologist, a board-certified behavior analyst, and most importantly, a parent of 3 in the district. I've been in Glendora for 30 years. My parents moved us here because the schools were so good, and we've stayed, and I've really loved it. Professionally, I've done all kinds of things, but primarily my occupation is I'm a consultant for nonprofits who work with people with special needs and intellectual disabilities. I've been a professor at APU for 13 years. I coached 2 soccer teams. Accidentally started a neighborhood watch and just keeping busy and enjoying our community. So for me, the most important thing is that we are together as a community. Glendora has always been wonderful because we come together, we see each other, we know each other. When I go to breakfast in the village, I drive through and I see friends everywhere. My kids see friends everywhere. I love the community. I've always wanted to give back to this community in a meaningful way because this community gave me so much. All the time that I spent growing up, all the time I spent in Glendora schools, Sellers, Goddard, Glendora High School, and everything after was because of a passion and drive the teachers instilled in me that allowed me to keep going and going and going and going, much to my wife's dismay. But I want to thank the Chamber. I want to thank everybody for coming. I really want to thank Elizabeth for her service over the last 6 years. That's incredible. And at the end of the day, this is a volunteer job that we're all giving back to our kids. And so I think that we can't miss out on that. And I really appreciate that. And I just think I have something that I can give the community and trying to find a way that I can give back. And I think as a psychologist, there's not much I can do. I can tell you you're paying your therapist too much, but otherwise, the way I give back to my community is to help out in a meaningful way. And so this is how I found my place. So thank you very much. I'm excited to talk to you all tonight.
Candidate number 3.
My name is Robin Merkley, and I have lived in Glendora for 38 years. I've been married to the most wonderful man in the world, Kendall, for 39 years. We just celebrated our anniversary. I am the mother of 5 Glendora High School graduates. They had such a wonderful education here. As the parent, I was extremely involved in the schools. I volunteered in their classrooms. I was a room parent. I've been PTA president at Williams, at Glendora High School, at council, and I'm in now my 3rd time as president of PTSA at Wickham High School. I've also served as the book fair chairman at Goddard for, 8 years, 10, I don't remember, a long time. I've been treasurer, secretary. Okay, if there's a position I think I've held it. I graduated with a BS and an MA in education. And so I taught school full-time for 2 years, and I've been a substitute for about 15 years, 12 in Glendora Unified. As a school board member, I've been on the board for 9 years now. I have been trained by California School Boards Association getting a master's in governance so I could learn how to be a better board member and how to govern. I also attend the CSBA conference once a year. I've served on various districts, school committees, before I was on the school board. I also am very involved in the community. I served in the library, board of trustees, and I've been on Glendora Community Coordinating Council for too many years that I can think of. I have the experience and the leadership, and so I hope that as you listen tonight, that you will find the person that you feel is the best one for this job.
Candidate number 4, please.
Okay. Good evening. First, I want to thank the Glendora Chamber for putting this forum together and all the attendees who are here today and those viewing online. My name is Michael Munoz, and I'm running for Glendora School Board Trustee, Area 5. Now, to tell you a little bit about myself, I was born and raised here in the city of Glendora. I have very strong family values. All my family live here in Glendora. My education consists of a business degree from UC Riverside and a doctorate in law from California Southern Law School. I'm currently an attorney at law and co-owner of Munoz & Munoz Law Office. Now, many people ask, why am I running? I'm running because I love this city, just like you do. I love its tradition, I love its values. I value education. Our school district is our bedrock of our community. That's why I want to get involved. Now, school board member, I strive for academic excellence. I want our schools to have high quality education and not indoctrination. I want local control. I want to give the teachers the resources and tools to educate our children to prepare them for the next level. Also, I want the community to be involved as far as setting up vocational programs and working with local businesses to set up internships. Me, as a school board member, I feel I'm a great asset for the school board. I can bring in leadership, I can bring in qualities and expertise in my legal field on the board. I feel the district deserves the best, the teachers deserve the best, and the students deserve the best. That is why I'm running. Thank you for your time.
Okay, well, thank you very much for those. Now we will start with our questions. And we'll start with candidate number 1 again, and then we'll go through the process. Regarding declining enrollment, how are you going to address declining enrollment?
That's great.
Candidate number 1.
Okay, sorry, that's a great question to start with. I'd first like to make sure everybody understands that declining enrollment is a issue that's facing 70+% of school districts in the state of California. It's not unique to Glendora. What we are doing on the board right now to address declining enrollment is sort of a two-pronged approach. You look at your revenues and then you look at your expenses, right? So as far as revenues are concerned, we're really focused on bringing exceptional programs into Glendora Unified School District that is going to keep all of our kids that are from Glendora here with us in Glendora and hopefully attract some from outside as well. We've got some really awesome programs that we've started this year. The dual immersion language program, the Spanish program over at Sutherland Elementary School. All of our STEAM labs that were sponsored by the Glendora Education Foundation that have gone in all 5 elementary schools this fall and will be in the middle schools in the January timeframe. We've got an unbelievable state-of-the-art aviation program at Glendora High School. So having programs like that are really important to try and keep people here with us. But we really do also have to address the expense part of it as well. We need to have good position control with our staff when somebody is retiring or moving away. We need to take a look if that's a person that needs to be replaced. We also really need to, and we are actively working right now with Lewis developers on surplus properties. Are we using all of the properties that we have to maximize our efficiency? And if we're not, could we do something with them to generate revenues? So those are some of the steps that we're taking right now to address declining enrollment.
Candidate number 2, please.
So I want to be really clear for the people who don't know me, there are like 3 people in the back. People in my direct family consist of individuals from San Gabriel School District, Claremont School District, West Covina Unified School District, Glendora School District, and La Puente School District. And as I look around, declining enrollment, Ms. Reuter is correct, is not something that's unique to Glendora, but what every school district is doing is becoming extraordinarily competitive at bringing in every student they can. And we need to really be looking at what services we're providing in this district to make sure that who we're bringing in and what we're bringing into this district is actually translating to numbers on a page that's bringing students in. Prior, when I was a student, there were people that were flocking to Glendora. They were coming and doing all kinds of wild things. I've told some of my best friends were learning how to play bagpipes just to come to Glendora, and that's a hard instrument to learn. We need to figure out what it is that we can do to bring people in, and sometimes that looks really interesting and all kinds of different things. My wife is piloting the capstone program at West Covina High School. It gives students a specialized diploma and degree. Kids are flocking from Covina Unified, they're flocking from Diamond Bar, they're coming from all over to do these things. And that's the kind of thing that we need to be doing here. Is essentially every school district is turned into a marketing program where we need to be bringing the best in everybody we can to the district. And that helps our expenses and it helps bringing people in and all that stuff. The other part of that though is that we cannot allow our back door to be open and allow students to go to private schools or Evergrow or anywhere else. And that's been a really big issue. For somebody who's been on the board at my kid's preschool and who's affiliated with Foothill Church and all kinds of stuff, like Foothill Church has a wait list, Hope Lutheran has a wait list, United Methodist has a wait list. We are sitting in a position where lots of our local students are going out the back door to private schools, and it breaks my heart because those are kids that are missing out on the excellent education we have here. Thank you.
Reuter?
Okay, many things that Elizabeth said, I would say, but I have to agree with her. It's not unique to Glendora. It's not even unique to California. I was just reading this article today that the population from 2020 to 2022 declined in 18 states. Part of the problem is the birth rate. I don't know, can we get people to have more kids? That would really help us a lot. Yeah, well, I did my part, but we'll keep to it. But I do have one grandchild at Sutherland, but I don't think we'll have any more. We have given two retirement incentives, and since I've been on the board, to help right-size the district because we've had too much staff as with declining enrollment. So we have to make sure that we keep track of that and make sure that we have the right number of teachers. Elizabeth mentioned the dual language immersion. I've been pushing for that since I've been on the board, so I was so happy that we got that. The aviation, if you can go visit that, amazing. We also have dual enrollment with Citrus. We have kids that can graduate from high school with an AA. They get high school credit and college credit at the same time. I can't believe Elizabeth didn't mention our Career Tech Ed program. The aviation goes with that, and we have health careers, and we're continually working to get more. We have to cut expenses. We work on it so that we cut the expenses that are around the classroom. We try to protect the classroom where our students are. District of choice, there's an SBA 77 that would extend it at DOC in perpetuity, and we are advocating for that. And change pupil count from average daily attendance to the enrollment.
Candidate number 4.
Okay, got it on. All right, well, first off, all the candidates said some very good points. I'll just reiterate some important things I feel that will help decline enrollment. First off, I think we got the students. We got to recruit our own students. Like one of the candidates, I think Dan said, they're going to private school. They don't trust our school district. I think they're going to private school because there's a lot of things coming from Sacramento that's scaring parents. I want to instill and bring that trust back to the board, so parents will trust our board and know that we will work with the community in giving their kids quality education. As far as programs, ROP, CTE, vocational programs, because not every student's meant to go to college. There's some trade picks that can do electricity, plumbing. We got to offer all those trades because those are very, I would say, professional trades that they can excel in. Lastly, and very important to me, I want to bring out our facilities. I look at Glendora, they look the same since I was a little kid. They need to be improved. I coach Little League, and looking at the baseball team, people look at sports. They want the facilities, they want the baseball field, they want the football field, they want the track field, water polo. We got to improve our facilities. So as a board member, I will strive for that. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. Let's talk about technical education. How do you intend to increase technical education to increase student success? And we're going to start with candidate number 2, please.
So I think this goes hand in hand with our amazing community college system. So part of the work that I've done has been student therapist at both Pasadena City College and LA Valley College. And they have incredible programs. When I was going to school, there were a few people that were taking advantage of dual enrollment. And my wife hates that I bring up that the idea that a lot of our students are taking AP classes, taking a test and hoping to get college credits, or you can actually just get college credits. You can literally start school, register earlier than anybody else, get through and get meaningful steps towards your degree done before you leave. And Glendora gets to keep collecting ADA, which is incredible. So talking about technical education would be partnering with our community colleges, making sure that we have those connections. And I think that a large variety of us know people at the community colleges. I've been an adjunct at Citrus College for 7 years now. Not that I do that all the time, but I'm there every once in a while. And have connections there. I think we all need to be utilizing that, and what I've heard in the past is that there's been some pushback, but if you know the right people, you talk, you're nice, you're friendly, you make connections, and you communicate well, we can really develop our technical education for our students and move them into careers that are able to make them far more lucrative, because it's becoming more and more difficult to do well with a traditional undergraduate degree. The people I know that are doing the best right now are people that are in the trades, or people who went and became pilots, and all kinds of other wonderful things. And so I'd love to increase the technical trades for our students and make sure that they can flourish when they leave school, not feel like they need to do something to fit in with everybody else. Thanks.
Candidate number 3.
You know, the pendulum always seems to swing back and forth. 15 years ago, we were talking about a 4-year college-going culture, which is important. I understand they want the students to be prepared to go to a 4-year college, to have that as an option. I know that I went to a junior college. I had good grades, but I took things like shorthand, things that didn't really count towards a degree. But Glendora is doing a great job with CTE. At Fairplex, we have, I think it was a memorandum of understanding. Our students can go there. We offer that. We've been offering that for several years now, like welding and different things. We have a memorandum of understanding with Citrus College. As Dan mentioned, they can go there at the same time as they're going to high school. We have the aviation program. When they take 2 years, they can finish their ground school training while they're still in high school, which will lead to many other careers. We also have a capstone project here. That was something else. Let's see, Mount Sac, we have an MOU with them, they can go there. So we are working on it. I know that ROP is very robust, as Elizabeth is on the board, and I'm sure she will talk about that a bit more. But I think the trades are very important. We need to have welders and electricians and plumbers.
Candidate number 4.
Yes, so everything that the candidate said, I definitely agree with them. One thing I would add is I think we got to do internships with local businesses, get them in the trades. I learned so much. I built my own house. I saw the electricity, I saw the plumbing, I saw all the framework going up. I mean, these trades, they're very lucrative. And so we definitely have to set up internships so these kids can see and strive for the best. We want them to be business owners, not employees. We want them to succeed. That's my position. If we can get as many students to succeed in the future, that would be my greatest gift. Also, working with the community colleges, we have Mount Sac, we have Citrus College. We definitely have to have a great relationship with them. Even the local universities, I know Cal Poly has little ways, but somehow set up an internship with them, even with the professors. The kids can see this. Maybe they get the inside of the college life, the early start of it. These are all some great ideas, and obviously the programs that we have, I would want to keep those in place, because pilots, aviation program, technical programs, I think they'll be great for the kids.
Thank you. And candidate number 1.
Thank you. I'm really excited about this question. it's very refreshing to hear from everybody in the community that trades are important. And that's what I'm hearing universally as I talk to people. What I do want to do is, as Mrs. Merkley mentioned, give a shout out to the programs that we have right now. We have 8 different career technical education pathways between Glendora High School and Whitcomb High School. Our counselors at both GHS and Whitcomb do a tremendous job in trying to find the right places for their students as they're coming through our program. Last spring, we did this unbelievable SoCal Trades Tour that came through Glendora High School, and the counselors had the brilliant idea to have all of our juniors and seniors have it be mandatory that everybody came through that program. There was probably 150 different booths there of every different trade you could possibly imagine, so that students could have the opportunity to just glimpse what could come next, what they could get excited about as they look towards whatever their future might be. I'm really excited. I had a meeting just last week with Mrs. Norrell and Mr. Bondurant. Mr. Bondurant over at the high school handles our career technical education pathways, and they are really working on a 5-year strategic plan for our career technical education pathways. And that's really exciting. We've got some real strengths at Glendora High School that we could put structures and support on CTE around them. Sports medicine is a great example. Culinary is an excellent example. We've talked about early childhood education. These are all pathways that the ROP works in partnership with us to make sure there's marketability for those jobs. Our technical education pathways at our high schools, there are jobs in the San Gabriel Valley that earn a living wage. We don't just throw pathways in there for people to do whatever they might think they want to do. It's a desirable pathway.
Thank you very much. Okay, next question. Regarding parental notification and AB 1955. Now, I got several versions of this question, so I'm going to do my best to kind of put them all together. The parental notification programs have been discussed and debated in Glendora, other cities, and at the state level. Could you share your thoughts on implementing such a system? Additionally, considering that in some cases, some students, school may be their only safe space, how would you think this program could either help or harm the situation? We will start with candidate number 3.
Parental notification is a misnomer for outing transgender kids. I struggled with this when it came before the board. My first knee-jerk reaction when my husband mentioned it to me was, of course parents need to know. But then, as we talked about it, we talked about the students. Why are they not talking to their parents? It's not because you're a bad parent. It's because probably they're afraid to disappoint you. I worry about their mental health. If they have no one to safe to talk to, they can't go to a school counselor because they are concerned the school counselor is going to notify their parents in 3 days. What is their mental health going to be? Who will they talk to? I'm afraid that if one child commits suicide, that is one too many. I am definitely on the side of giving the student a time without some deadline to talk to the parents. Talk to the counselors. The counselor's ultimate goal is to have the student tell their parents. They work with them, but there cannot be a deadline. The counselors say, we'll call them on the phone. I'll sit next to you. I'll tell them. You can sit next to me. I'll leave the room. You can have your parents come in. I'll tell them, or you'll tell them. I'll sit in the next room. However it is, that is the ultimate goal of the parents, the counselors, but we cannot give them a deadline. I understand the frustration, I understand this, but this really is about outing transgender students, and I come down on the side of love.
Candidate number 4.
Yes, thank you. So on parental notification, I was hearing some of the statements of, so transgender kids, I don't like labeling people. You have people with mental health, you have race. There could be a lot of reasons, but I think we already have a system in place. We have teachers who are mandated reporters. We have counselors that are mandated reporters. If there's abuse or the child is not participating in activities, the teacher's trained to find this. I don't think we need to put pressure on our teachers to not notify the parents. The parents need to know. Now, you may have kids 8, 9, 10. We have a big evil, which is social media. I'm sure you catch your kids on a phone or iPads. They don't know what they're watching. You know, it's a very confusing time. They're just trying to be fit in. And so as parents, I think they need to know. I think it's very important that they need to know. Now, also, I think as an attorney looking at this, I think it's unconstitutional and infringes on parents' rights. And I feel that if this is led up to the Supreme Court, it's going to get taken down from Sacramento. Thank you.
Candidate number 1.
Sorry, this is a different microphone. Thank you. First, a couple of facts. We discussed the parental rights notification last fall. It's coming up on a year that this was brought before the Board of Education in Glendora. We ruled on it at the first meeting in October, so we're coming up on a year from when that decision was made by our Board of Education to not adopt a policy that day. Nothing was taken away that day. By not adopting a policy, we voted to keep things the way that they have been. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that nothing was taken away that day. It stayed the way that it has been. When this policy was brought forward to us, the first thing that I personally did is I started and I went and I talked to our counselors and our teachers. And I asked them what their thoughts on this policy was, or what their policies and procedures were when they're working with our students. And universally, no matter what grade, no matter what teacher, no matter what principal, no matter what anybody that I talk to, and all 5 members of the board for that matter, everybody wants to get parents involved as quickly as we possibly can. If it's not a parent, it's another trusted adult. If there's something going on with the parents, it's another trusted adult. Glendora is unique. 50+% of our teachers and our staff member live and work in this town, right? I see them at bonds, you see them at your church, you play with them, their kids on Little League, whatever the case might be. We all know each other. We take care of our kids here in Glendora. I chose to trust our staff. They've been taking care of our kids for generations. We do not need to have a policy put on top of that so that we can take care of our students the way that we know how to do it best.
Candidate number 2.
So I'd like to just start off by saying anybody who thinks they can tackle this problem in 2 minutes is wildly uninformed. It is a much deeper and much more nuanced policy and idea than anybody can really comprehend. As somebody who's worked with people on their coming out plan when I've been in therapy settings, I understand how important that is. So I want to start there and just say there's no way we're going to hash this out and figure it out in a 2-minute period. I think the bigger issue that we need to have a conversation about is that it's the community's distrust in the board based on the shutting down of conversations. And we always need to have conversations. We need to be transparent. We need to be open. We need to build relationships and trust with the community members to be able to say, we want to have conversations with you. We want to have open study sessions with you. We want to have these connections and these meetings. There have been motions from the board to have communication about that. It's been shut down. There was people who brought policies forward that said we're willing to change them. I'm not saying that the policy that was initially presented to the board was a perfect policy. I want to be really clear about that. But also I think we need to have a community that can come together and have dialogue that's confrontational, that's difficult, that may be uncomfortable for us to have a better outcome ultimately. And so this has been a back and forth and a back and forth and a back and forth over and over again. I'm sure everybody seems to be tired of hearing about it, but we need to be having these conversations. And at this point, the communication with the community, for me, is the biggest, most important key, and that's clearly been something that's been lost, which is unfortunate.
Okay, next question regarding bonds. Would you support a bond measure to help improve facilities? And how would you communicate to the community to get their support? We will start with candidate number 4.
Well, so a bond for me is it's a tax on the community. No one likes taxes. So First off, I would like to see our budget and see if we can cut out other areas and focus on improving our facilities. I would also look for grants. There's a lot of grants out there as far as safety and setting up, improving the facilities out there. We need to reach out and see if we can get grants. Another thing is reach out to our alumni. Glendora's been here for a very long time. We have a lot of alumni. If we can reach out and get donations, we can help raise money besides asking for a bond. But if we were to ask for a bond, I think we need to bring back trust. There's going to be good communication with the community. We need trust in our board. And I feel that if we have the trust, I think people would vote for a bond. And thank you.
Candidate number one.
100% yes, I would vote for a bond for Glendora Unified School District. It's what I've been working towards since 2017, since Measure GG failed. When it did fail, the next thing that we did was my co-chair and I convened a blue ribbon committee where we invited people in who had voted no on the bond, and we asked them why they voted no on the bond. And essentially we were told that they just didn't really see the need in Glendora Unified. That bond on 21st century learning classrooms and facilities. COVID ESSER funds gave us a lot of the money we needed to take care of those 21st century classrooms, and now we're left with our still the same facilities that we've had since any of these people went to high school in Glendora Unified. And so the state has said to school districts, you guys are on your own. They are not going to fund us as far as facilities are concerned. So we most recently did a facilities needs assessment and took a look at all the different buildings, all the different infrastructure, all of that information, and a company came back to us and told us that we had approximately $80 million in facilities needs. There are some things that can be taken out of that. There are some things that might need to be added into that. But we are not going to be able to get donations for $80 million as much as we might like to try. We are not going to be able to get $80 million in grants, though our team is doing an amazing job getting grants. We've had $2.75 million in grants that our assistant superintendents have wrote for since COVID. And so we really do need to, in fairness, we need to tighten up. We need to, like I said before, we need to take a close look at all of our facilities. Do we need all of our facilities? Can we move some things around? Can we take some of those facilities and generate some revenue so that we prove to our community that we have done everything we possibly can with the budget that we have before we ask them for the money, and then we are going to have to ask them for the money.
Candidate number two.
So my easy answer on this one is yes, I would support a bond. We have to. There's no option. Every level of our school is failing right now. There's been a broken slide that my kids can't play on at Sellers for I don't know how long, ACs that haven't been working at the middle schools, and a track that literally other schools troll us on because they don't get to come here for track meets. It's embarrassing, and we really need to make sure that we get things together. Now, I remember prior to any of the issues that were going on, the current board brought in a consultant to talk about how to get a bond passed in Glendora, and at the end of that presentation, it was, you're not going to do it with parents and grandparents. You have too many people in this area that don't have students, that don't feel a need, and are not interested in raising their taxes. And the distrust in the board, because of all the things that have happened since then, means that there's less people who are willing to increase their taxes to give people money that they don't know what they're going to do with it. And I think the biggest part is we need to communicate to the community what we do with that money, what's on that list, what our vision is, and how we're going to take care of that. And the other thing that we need to make sure that we do is prioritize how we're going to get that done. Building community relationships, making sure people understand, because we're also up against it. For those of you who are inclined and watched last night, the city is now going out for a bond too. So good luck getting two of them passed, which is a real bummer. And so we've got some things that we need to figure out. But in the meantime, my kids are not getting the education that they deserve. Your kids are not getting the education they deserve. The teachers that we care about so desperately are sitting in hot classrooms and wondering when things are going to start working. So we need a bond. We need a bond desperately. And the $700,000 that we raise as a community for a track is not even going to put a dent in it, you guys. So we really need to get that together. But the only way we get that is by communicating clearly, developing relationships, and making sure that as a community we can come together around something that's so important and make it viable for everybody and important for everybody. Thank you.
Candidate 3?
I would, of course, vote for a bond. I don't think we're ready for it. I helped back in 2000 and 2005 when we passed a bond. I made phone calls, I talked to people, and we were able to do it. Then, I can't remember when we went out again, but 7 years ago. At the time, they said we needed over $98 million. We went for the $98 million. But the company that we went with, they had us making phone calls, but don't leave a message. How many of you actually answer a phone when you don't recognize the number? I don't. And so I would spend an hour, 2 hours calling people, and I talked to 2 or 3 people. That is not the way to do it. At the time, we did not have the teachers and the staff on board. I don't know if they just didn't understand what we were doing, but now we have to get the staff behind us. We have to make sure that they are excited about a bond, that they know what we're going to do with it. The last bond, I was on the bond oversight committee towards the end. I was actually the chairman of that committee. And as we met, we realized that they spent, the district spent the money in a timely manner on the things that it was meant to be spent on. I think that if you look at this board, that you can trust us. You may not like what we've done, but we have been above board. We have discussed everything that comes before us. We vote on it, maybe not the way you like, but we vote on it according to our conscience.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question from the audience. There's a feeling of divisiveness in GUSD that has increased recently. Would you agree? Or what can you do personally to remedy that so we can work collectively and support one another and our children? Candidate number 1.
I don't know, I didn't, okay, thank you. Thanks for the question. I agree with you. I think that there has been divisiveness in the past. I do honestly think since the election in 2022, it really has been much less. I do think that this community feels better representative across the spectrum than it might have before. I think this board has a lot, the current board, the 5 of us, have a lot of differing opinions, differing positions where we come from, but I can say that it is a pleasure working with this board because once we have debated an issue, have voted on an issue, then every single one of us gets behind that vote. We work very well together, even with our varying opinions. And I think varying opinions is really important on any sort of governing board that way. What can I personally do to try and make that better? You know, I've had conversations. I've had very difficult conversations. I had very difficult conversations that felt like I was walking into a buzzsaw back in 2020. I knew I was going into a room where people were really unhappy with what I had to say. And I might not have agreed, but I always really tried to sympathize and empathize with the position that they were coming from. And so I continue to do that, and I'm happy. I think anybody can say that if they've asked for a meeting with me, I've given that meeting to them. I do want to hear them out. I do want to try and understand the position that people are coming from to see if there is a compromise where we can come together.
Candidate 2.
So I would also agree that it seems like things have been very divisive. And I think the best thing we can do is play nice in the sandbox, you guys. We have to be friends. We have to meet with people, be available, be open to having conversations, talking to people. I will say that the one thing I've told people is, if this all works out, I'm the only board member that will be on campus every day, 5 days a week, for at least the next 5 years before my kids start telling me they need me to leave them in the drop-off line. But I walk them to the door every day. I talk to parents and I talk to teachers every day. And I talk to people who may not agree with me, and I talk to people in a way in which people feel heard and respected. And I think the most important thing is to remember that we all are humans and there's humanity in all of us. And like I said at the beginning, like I appreciate Elizabeth's work that she's done to give back to the community over the past 6 years. I appreciate the people that came tonight and took time out of their lives because this is important for all of us. If you can humanize the people across from you and not turn them into evil or the devil and whatever it is, or stupid or whatever people decide, then you know, we can all get together. I have to say, and a shout out to my parents who are both here tonight, my dad has been a hardcore leftist his entire life, and my mom has been a hardcore conservative for a very long time. And that has made me really see the humanity in both sides. Like, I'm gonna out you guys, sorry. But that all being said, like it's so important to understand that there is value to the things that we want. And when I teach my classes, I teach political psychology right now, we talk about that both sides want similar things. We want kids to feel heard, we want kids to feel valued, we want everybody to feel like they can come and have a place that they're safe. Nobody disagrees with that. There are some things that we start to bicker on as it pertains to how do we get there. And if we humanize it and say, let's start from what we agree on and move backwards as opposed to what do we differ on so that we can be divisive, that helps a lot. But I'll tell you, getting up and walking out on a community at a board meeting is not going to do that.
Candidate number 3.
Well, I have to agree with everyone else. It has been very divisive lately. But I feel that we can talk. I listen to people, and I have been known to change my mind. I'm pretty stubborn. I know that. My husband would tell you that in a minute. But I do listen, and I do change my mind. Not often, but I do. But I listen, and I try to understand where the other person is coming from. And that's what we need to do. I think that especially as parents and grandparents and community members, that we have to be able to model how to talk, how to disagree, and remain friends after. You know, I see so much, can you call it hate, among people. I have felt it because people haven't agreed with the decisions, with the things that we have done as a school board. You know, disagree with me, that's fine. Get over it. We can still be friends. We can still talk. My sister and I are way different with her beliefs and mine, but you know what? We are still best friends. We just don't talk about some of those issues that get us going. She'll listen to me and then she'll go, but I know she doesn't agree, but she loves me. And that's what we have to do. We have to remember that we are Glendorans and that we love the city, we love our students, and we all want what is best for them. And by the way, I might not be on campus every day, but I do have a grandson at Sutherland, and he is the cutest little guy you've ever seen.
Candidate number 4.
Yes, thank you. I do think there is divisiveness. Looking at COVID, I mean, we saw a lot of division starting. And it's terrible because, I mean, we should unite. We all this morning pledge allegiance to that flag. That's one flag. Now we're labeling, we're putting different flags. We're confusing students. We shouldn't be doing that. We weren't taught that. This is a public school. We should focus on the education and the academics and have one and promote unity. If you start putting and labeling people, that's division. Obviously, everyone comes from different cultural backgrounds, socioeconomic status. There's people that have, different behaviors. But again, we need to support our district in being united. I went to a school board meeting, and just to tell you, one of the members brought up an issue about parental notification. And I saw the fellow board members say nothing. They didn't want to talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to get things done if we don't discuss things. I don't care if we're on the left or the right, but we got to discuss things. We cannot be united if we don't discuss things. And so when I witnessed that was very disappointing because, you know, I take pride in these schools. I take pride in this community. All you parents work hard to send your kids here. We want unity. And I will try to bring back unity as a leader in this district. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're kind of probably right in the middle of our questions, so we're going to have a breather question here. We got this from there was supposed to be a different moderator, but everybody got hurt, so he was going to ask you. You graduated high school. You're driving down the road. What's playing on the radio? We'll start with,
Why me?
because it's not an extra.
Do you want me to go first?
No, it's a real mixtape, frankly, and it was a tape. It wasn't a CD or anything else like that. It was a tape, and it was a real. One song would be like classic rock, you know, sort of Journey or Rolling Stones, and then it would be NWA and Two Live Crew, and then it would be the Grateful Dead, and yeah, it was really a potpourri. Yeah.
As somebody who's been a music nerd my whole life, I have to agree, it was always something that was different. With the exception of country, I never played country, I have to say that. My wife, I started listening to it recently, my wife thought that I was a different person. But I will say that I graduated high school and spent a lot of time driving down to San Diego where my wife went to school, and it was always some Death Cab for Cutie and then some Atreyu and all kinds of fun stuff, which has made me feel really old recently because they're all having 20th anniversary album tours, and I'm like, oh man, this is really hitting hard, so that's where I'm at.
It's funny, I hated country too, until I moved, because I'm from Texas, and I moved to California, I'd get homesick and I'd turn on country. That's all my mom listened to. But I remember the night of my high school graduation, Benny and the Jets was playing. Yeah, I loved it. I'd never heard it, and I really liked it. I'm older than y'all, and it's okay.
Oh, well, so when I was at that time, it was burning MP3s of CDs. That's when I was listening to music. So it was Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, even Blink 182, and some Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre also was on there. So I love that. I would listen to those songs because I was a football player, and I was getting recruited to go to Oregon to play football as a running back. So I was always blasting rock and roll.
Thank you very much. Okay, now back to business. What is your why? Why are you running for school? We are going to start with candidate number 2.
So for me, it's an easy one. It's my kids, man. I was in school, and my wife, she's such a smart lady. She told me that we needed to get married, and I thought, I don't know, not yet, not till I'm done with school. And she said, you want to be a doctor, right? That's going to be a long time. And I said, you're probably right. So we got married. And I said, as long as we don't have kids before I'm done with school. And at my graduation, I was holding 2 of them. So that was awesome. But it was wonderful. And I told her my big hesitation when we were getting ready to start a family was I said, I don't want to be an absent dad. I really love being able to be present and be part of that. And if I'm stuck in a basement learning statistics and research methods and doing therapy with people for free, I don't want to miss out on important things. And we made it, and every day I love that I get to go and get them ready, and I'm Mr. Dad, so my wife's a teacher. I told you she teaches 0 period, so she's out of the house by 6 a.m., which means I'm waking 3 kids up, changing 1 diaper, and packing a snack and 2 lunches, and getting 3 kids dressed, loading them in a car, hearing what crazy song they want to play, and then trying to rush them across the street with a wonderful crossing guard without one of them getting smashed by people who are driving too quickly. So I absolutely love my kids, and they are my why, and everything kind of trickles down from there. Everything got more amplified as I started paying attention to this and how I could help the community, but my why has always been my kids.
And then number 3.
So, a few years, probably 3 or 4 years before I ran, a former superintendent, she had just accepted another job, said, Robin, now that I'm not superintendent anymore, I think you should run for the school board. And it kind of planted a seed, and I kind of let a few years go by, got my kids out of school because I felt like I was more effective being a mom and focusing on what they were doing. And then I girded up my loins, got excited about it, and decided to run because I feel like I can make a difference. I have a love of education. I love my kids. I love the education that they received in Glendora. I feel that I can make a difference because I have this experience of being with my 5 kids, reading to them, helping in the classroom, subbing. I actually subbed in my daughter's class as a full-time sub. It's kind of fun, except she sassed me, and the kids were shocked because they had never heard a quiet Anna talk like that. But to focus, I am here because I love the kids at Glendora. I love the staff. I think we have an amazing staff. The teachers are so good, and I am here to support them and to do my best for the community of Glendora.
Candidate number 4.
Oh, thank you. So for my why, it goes back a long way. I was born and raised here. This is my home. It's always been my home, and I plan on having it be my home for the rest of my life. My love for this city is so great. The families, the community, how the community gets involved. When I coached Little League, and we actually won the championship that year, so we were bragging, my first time coaching. And no one said we had a chance. But to see those kids, like the excitement, and I follow those kids. Those kids are now playing for Glendora High School. Some of them are playing football as running backs. It's just amazing to me how much talent there is. And so with me, all my schooling, education, I got my doctorate degree in law, as I said. I want to give that back to the community. This community has been great to me. I always felt welcomed here in Glendora, and that is really why I'm running, because I love this city. Thank you.
And candidate 1.
Thank you. I would say that my answer for my why is actually your kids. My husband and I have 2 wonderful kids, graduated from Glendora High School in 2023 and 2024, so I'm only recently an empty nester and don't have kids in the school district here. But my kids, they have a fortunate upbringing, right? They are going to be fine. It's everybody else's kids that I really need to, or feel strongly about looking out for, and helping them to be successful when they graduate from our 2 high schools. Finding the why for every single student that comes through our school district is my passion. Success looks different for every single person, and talking about the career technical education, talking about our AP capstone class, talking about all the different opportunities that we have in both Glendora High School and Whitcomb High School, and finding what's going to get kids to go to school, to want to graduate, to figure out what they want to do next. So meeting every single kid where they are, to helping them find their passion for what comes next for them is my why.
Okay, thank you. Outside of state mandates, do you feel the board members' personal or political views should influence board decisions? Candidate number 3.
Of course not. Our personal views should not influence our decisions. I think about the parental notification, and I think people were surprised that I voted against it. But I felt strongly that it wasn't up to what I thought or what I believed, but what was best for the student, for the child. And so sometimes I have to put aside what I think is right. I have to listen to the students, to the teachers, to the parents. It always goes back to that parental rights stuff. That was so difficult, to sit on that dais and listen to students talk about telling their parents they were bisexual and being kicked out of the home. I may not understand, I never will understand, but I knew that I had to come down on the side of love for them and understanding. There have been times it has been difficult. During the pandemic, of course, I remember when I got a text, we need to close the school until spring break. I was like, seriously? Okay, fine. But then as time went on, we had state mandates. We had to follow them. Did I like them? No. Did it matter if I agreed with them? No. but I have to overcome what I think and do what is best for the students.
Candidate four.
So, my position, since we brought in parental notification, we can't have a knee-jerk reaction. I understand we have to do what's in the best interest of the child, but what's in the best interest of the child, it may be to notify the parents. Social media has a great effect on kids. You know, they have Katy Perry, I Kissed a Girl. They don't know. Parents, they need to have communication. We can't let one case dictate a policy for the whole community. Glendora is about family. It's about being involved. Now, absolutely with that question, it's like, would I support, bullying? Absolutely not. I have zero tolerance. If anyone's getting bullied at school, that's not going to happen if I'm the board member. Again, if someone's getting abused, that's an investigation for CPS. We have those policies already in place. So I would not let certain things affect my view as far as other policies. I would like to hear a discussion with the board and make what's the best decision. But focusing on parental notification, I do feel for the community that needs to be implemented. Thank you.
Candidate number one.
Justina, could you repeat the question, please?
Outside of board members, or outside of state mandates, do you feel your personal or political views should influence board decisions?
Thank you. The simple answer, I guess, is no. Whenever there is an issue that comes forward, my first inclination is to go and talk with our teachers and our counselors and our principals and our district office staff to best understand how whatever that issue is actually impacts in the classroom. And so hearing from them and hearing from community members and then balancing all of those different thoughts is what is the responsibility of a board member. And it does get tricky sometimes when there is a very emotional or heated issue, but you always do have to look at the numbers. If you receive a petition, if you have people commenting on a Facebook page or whatever the case might be, you do have to take in consideration the proportionality to the number of students or families that we have here in Glendora Unified and what that tipping point is as far as governance is concerned. It's hard sometimes.
Candidate two.
So I think the easy answer for me as well is no. My job is not to be an activist up on the panel by myself. It's to be somebody who listens to the community and is a representative of what the community is asking board members to do. We have this term when I was doing clinical work, which was you have to be really careful not to be a surrogate conscience for your clients. You have somebody who sits across from you, and it's really easy for therapists to just tell somebody do this or do that, and that doesn't help them, instill them to be successful when they leave. You have to empower them to make decisions and not make decisions on your own. A professor told me one time the most frustrating part about being a psychologist is you'll look at a client and see in 5 minutes what their problem is, but it will take them 2 years to figure that out. And I see nodding, right? And but a lot of times that's what it needs. And so you need to make sure that the community feels heard. You need to make sure that people feel like they've had their say, that they're understood, that you're communicating, that you're looking at all the different aspects, and then taking that all into account. But you don't get that by telling people to leave the room, and you don't get that by telling people that they can't speak and shutting off live feeds. And that really was the biggest thing that brought me into this campaign.
Thank you. Okay, next question. If elected, what would you hope would be key accomplishments of the board during your years of service? We'll start with candidate number 4.
So if elected, my key accomplishments is I want to take care of our teachers first. Our teachers have to, they have lives of their own. They have to take care of their families. They have their own personal problems. But day in and day out, They have to go to those classrooms with a smile and help those, and take care of those students and teach them every day. That's heroic. And so I want to compensate the teachers. I want to support them and give them all the resources and tools they need. So that's one of my goals. Second thing, I would like to improve the facilities. I feel there's a demand to, as far as giving the band, I know our band is fantastic, Glendora High School, a new facility where they can practice. As far as sports, fixing the fields, I know it's difficult, but you know what? We got to figure out a way. We got to do it, because just not doing it in the last 9 years, we've seen our schools that look the same. I've seen no movement. That's why I'm running that. If you want change, please vote for me, because that's what I'm going to do. The next goal, I hope that we can have leadership and collaboration with the board, and we can instill trust in the community with the board. I want them to trust the board, and I want to listen to everyone's input, because everyone has great ideas. Thank you.
Candidate number 1.
Thank you. If re-elected, my priority continues to be on our students first. Their academic achievement is the #1 goal of our school district. Laid out by our teachers, our local control accountability plan. Student achievement is our #1 goal, and is my #1 goal, and supporting our teachers with what they might need in order for our students to achieve comes in at a close second that way. We do pay our teachers. We did give them an 8.5% raise and a 1% off schedule bonus this past year. Every salary increase and every bonus that has come across this board's desk has been enthusiastically approved, because we value every single employee in Glendora Unified School District. And then the facilities absolutely do need to be addressed, and we've talked about that as far as the bond issue is concerned, and taking care with our expenses as well. We've got some really great momentum going right now that the board is working on as far as our facilities are concerned, as far as our surplus properties are concerned. We're going to be doing a lot of things to prove to this community that we are being responsible with all of their taxpayer dollars. The current school bond rolls off the tax measure in 2026, and we really have to communicate clearly about how we need to move forward once those tax dollars come off of our taxpayers' bills in 2026. So students first, teachers right after that, facilities right after that.
Candidate number 2.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
What are your
Like tangible goals, like the time of school board?
key accomplishments? During your, if elected, what would be your key accomplishments?
Sounds good, just checking.
Your service.
So yeah, I think that, of course, students and of course, teachers are things that we need to be looking at. How do we create tangible goals that are accomplished as a board over the time period that I would be on the board, would be to really looking at what is a priority list of what we can accomplish and what needs to be accomplished so that our schools are a place that people want to come to, whether that be students or teachers. It's really interesting being married to a teacher and having so many teachers in my family, how easily people look at the pay schedule, how many days are being taught, what that district looks like in comparison to everywhere else, what the enrollment looks like, and those things are not looking great here. We did have a decent increase, which was wonderful, with the exception of that the COLA went up like a crazy amount. So when you're looking at other districts in our area, we actually don't have teachers that are paid what they deserve. Claremont Unified, Chaffey Unified, these are places that teachers flock to, they will drive to, they will go to, and they're attracting the best and brightest teachers that want to stay there. And we want to be a district that people want to flock to, whether that be teachers or students. And I think the way that we do that is we improve our facilities, we make sure that things are working, and we can say, these are tangible things we can get done now. The portables that I was in as a 4th grader are still there with mold. They're still there. The emergency supply closet, a mom from the school came to me and said, if there's an emergency, just come get your kid. We don't have Band-Aids that stick. We have mold on things. We have rats that have chewed through stuff. There's problems kind of everywhere. So like I've said, on every level, we're looking at these things. And on top of all of that, the biggest priority that I think we need to be looking at and that I would be so proud to have accomplished is our safety and security on campuses, which is a really, really lacking issue at this time.
Candidate number 3.
Some of my goals go along with what the others have said. I can point out that the COLA for this year is 1.07%. We have given our teachers raises, and we have to balance the budget. We cannot go into deficit spending. We cannot spend all our money. We have to look out for 2 or 3 years. You know, we might have a surplus one year, but if we don't look out for 2 or 3 years, we will soon be in a deficit. We have to make sure that we have the money to be generous. I feel that we need more grants. We've gotten, as Elizabeth said, we've gotten $2.75 million since COVID. I think it would be worth our while to hire a grant writer. I think that person would pay for herself or himself in a very short time. And we do need to bring our facilities up to date. One good thing that we've done that Gary Clifford has really advocated, having him as a businessman, and there has been a bonus. But we are looking, as Elizabeth said, at our properties. We've entered into, what's that? I just went blank.
ENA.
Well, I know I was going to say the word, ENA.
Exclusive negotiation.
Exclusive negotiation, sorry. Bring those, I get all nervous. Agreement with a company to look at the property, see if we have surplus properties, if we can exchange, all these things. We are working on it to do our best. Another thing I want to do is expand our dual language immersion program. We just started with Spanish, and after it's gone on a few years, I would love to see us start a Mandarin program. We need to do everything we can for our students.
Thank you very much. Next question. How will you balance complying with state guidelines while also taking parental input into consideration? And we'll start with candidate number 1.
Can you repeat the question?
It says, how will you balance complying with state guidelines while also taking parental input into consideration?
If it's a state guideline, then it is up for local debate that way. And so depending on the issue, if something is brought before the board, I think we just demonstrated a board meeting or so ago, 2 board meetings ago, that we will, if it's a guideline that doesn't fit necessarily with our schools and our students' needs, then we will work with staff, or staff will come to us with a solution that satisfies the state guidelines while being creative to have it fit into our what's appropriate for Glendora schools at the time. So if it's a guideline, it's one thing that I think we can talk about, and we don't have to make a quick response or move quickly on something. If it's a mandate, it's another story.
Candidate 2.
So similar in that guidelines are things that we should be looking at, and I think foster more communication, more study sessions, and more discussion with our community. Having conversations, connecting with community members, and all the things that we spoke about earlier when we were discussing being open to having conversations with people. It's important to remember we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and so listening to community members, teachers, counselors, students, and parents are always a more valuable aspect in a way to understand how we move forward with guidelines.
Number 3.
I agree that we need to discuss this with the parents and the teachers and decide how we're going to follow these guidelines. If it's a mandate, then it's already decided because, mandate is mandatory. My thought is if it's coming to that, if there are guidelines that might go towards a mandate, we need to get ahead of the legislation. If something's coming down, before they make it a mandate, we need to know what's going on. And we need to start a letter writing campaign. We just had, I think it was AB 2088, was talking about having that the staff, like the classified staff, would have to be considered first for a position, whether they were qualified for that position, that we'd have to hire them from within. But as soon as it happened, as soon as I heard about it, I sent an email to the governor, and I think maybe hopefully all of us did, to let them know. And so I learned today that Governor Newsom was going to veto that. So if we know what is coming down, if we can just get ahead of the legislation and let our voices be heard, then we can make a difference. If it's a guideline again, we can work with it and we can adapt it to the values of our community.
Yeah, so just like my Ken said, but just to add, if there's a state guideline, it really just depends what the guideline is. We've got to do the studies, we've got to do the research, we've got to look at the data, we've got to look at our community, we've got to talk to parents, the teachers, the counselors. We've got to see how it's going to affect our students. Is it going to affect our academics? Most of the guidelines usually don't, but it could. And so I would want to look at all the research. I would like to have a meaningful discussion with all the board members regarding the guideline and make the right decision for Glendora School District.
Thank you. Next question from the audience. What is your plan to ensure the safety and well-being of the LGBTQIA students to promote their academic success and well-being? Candidate number 2.
Sounds good. I think all students need to be felt welcome and at the table in their education, regardless of any identity or gender, ethnicity, any of that thing, any of those things. Our students are our students. We should be providing them every opportunity for their education and academic success.
3.
Again, we have to make sure that our schools are safe, that as the students feel like they can talk to a staff member, we have to make sure. We had a speaker at Convocation, Kevin Bracey, and he talked about how school, he came from a horrific, abusive home, and school was his safe place. The teachers inspired him and helped him, and that's what we need to have for all students. We have to look at each and every student, LGBTQ plus IA. And those who come from abusive homes, all of these students have a right to safety and a right to education. So we have to empower our teachers to be able to do that, to love these students and to care for them and do what is best for them.
Candidate number 4.
Yes, I do believe in safety, but again, I just don't like labeling people. All kids are all humans. They're all in one classroom. I don't want to segregate people and make them groups. I just don't like that. But I want safety for LGBTQ if there's students being bullied. And I think that's a real question. If they're being bullied and there's harm, I would have zero tolerance for that. I would want safety and protections for them. I want to promote unity. I want to promote one classroom. You have different people from different backgrounds. You have mental health problems. You have people that come from different races, speak other languages. They're made fun of. You have other people that are fighting obesity. There's a lot of other issues. And so I just want to address those all together as one classroom and treat every human being with respect and dignity that they deserve. Thank you.
Number 1.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge the structure that we have in place in Glendora Unified. It's called a multi-tiered system of support. There are 3 tiers in that system, and it's very well defined as far as what belongs, it's a system for both academic and social emotional supports. And so there's very clear parameters on what issues belong in each different tier. And we have different resources depending on what tier, whatever issue might fall into. And so one of the most important things that come along with supporting all of our students is supporting all of our staff. And so getting our staff professional development on dealing with all different types of students, all different types of issues, all different types of circumstances is very crucial. So having continuous professional development for all of our employees is really important when it comes to being able to support all of our students. If there are students that, I'm gonna stop there. It really is going to be with supporting our staff so that they are able to support our students, and if they can't do it, moving them up to the next tier. And that might mean also bringing in outside services. We have contracted with a lot of different mental health programs, a lot of different resources for families, so that anything that any student might be facing or any issues, we have resources for them. And I want to acknowledge how good of a job our staff is actually already doing in supporting all of our students.
Okay. Next question. How would you build or repair relationships with teachers? Candidate number 3.
I feel like we have a good relationship with teachers. I know many of them, and we get along well. I feel like they can talk to me. I know they talk to me, Elizabeth, a lot. We are on campus. We visit campuses. We attend events. I go to football games. My latest thing has been flag football. Have you been to one of those games? Girls flag football. It is so fun. I've been to basketball games. I try to go to as many events as I possibly can. And by that way, I'm visible. People get to know me. They can talk to me. And I think I'm pretty nice. I think I'm pretty easy to talk to. I hope. If not, I know I can be intimidating, but I know. But you can talk to me. And as we talk to teachers and get to know them and they get to know me, we'll have a great relationship. Our priority is students, followed by the teachers and staff. We want them to be happy, to love being in Glendora.
Candidate 4.
Thank you. As far as building relationships, I think the first thing as a board member, I want to listen. So if there's a concern the teacher has, I'm there, I want to listen, and I want to address, and I want to talk to the principal about it. I think as a board member, I don't belong in auditing the classroom. I think the teacher does that, and they do a great job of it. My job is, as a board member, is an organization. I got to make sure that nutrition, food, I got to make sure their mental health, there's enough staff there's enough safety in each school. I got to make sure that the teachers have all the resources and materials needed to execute their teaching, to have their academic excellence excel. So I think my business background would be tremendous in helping build that relationship, because I'm going to listen and provide that. I think that's what this school district needs. Thank you.
I want to make a comment on something that was said earlier about teachers, school districts around us, that they really draw teachers, or teachers are flocking to school districts around us, or whatever the case might be. And I do want to make it really clear that Glendora has some of the best teachers in the San Gabriel Valley, in the region. People love working for our school district. I have had a conversation with the husband of a new, the second-year teacher, talking to him about his wife's salary. Was it competitive? Was it, worth making the shift? Whatever the case might be. And because the teacher might not be honest with the board member, but their husband is definitely going to be honest with the board member when it comes to salary. And he had said, yeah, the salary is competitive. The benefits suck, and we really need to continue working on that. But that the balance that it brought to their life coming to work here in Glendora Unified outweighed all of that, because it is a great place to work. And so I want to make that really clear that when we have openings for teachers, we have many applicants going to those openings. And so I just want to make that clear that this is already a fantastic place to work. I seek people out. Maybe they see me coming around a corner and they go the other direction because I'm going to ask them questions about what's going on. If I hear something, I start asking questions. I do meet regularly with the Glendora Teachers Association and get feedback from them because they're also a voice for their whole membership. I hear from individual teachers from time to time, but I also really feel it's important to have a open door communicative relationship with our teachers union.
Candidate number 2.
So, I've always been an annoying student. I was a kid that came into class and spent all of lunch or nutrition or whatever it was with my teachers, developed those relationships, talked to those teachers, hung out with those teachers, spent time with those teachers after I graduated, came back and spoke, said hi to those teachers when I see them around town, connect with those teachers. I guess what I'm getting at with all of that is, if for me, healing the relationships with teachers, I don't know is a quick fix, but there's 20-year relationships that I've invested in our teachers. I care about them, I know them, I was there when some of their kids were born. I've spent time with our teachers in a really meaningful way, and it's not something that you can fake or it's something you can pick up. And I want to be clear, I'm not accusing anybody of that, but what I'm saying is that I personally have spent the time and put in the time to connect with our teachers. And it's been that way forever. Whether it's the teachers I've had in middle school, elementary school, high school, and still some college professors that I connect with and still check in on and make sure that they're doing okay. So I think that having a board member that has that long-term relationship and that experience is so important, because there's not like this event that happened or we're gonna do a team building exercise. This is like 20 years of relationship building that I purposely have made sure that I've genuinely cared about and taken time to check in with. And while that is something that is important, it's also something that has been so fun for me to be able to connect with. And so I think that that's going to go a long way, is just having somebody that is a trusted person that has been around forever, or not forever, but a long time in their lives.
Thank you very much. Okay, we've kind of come to that point in the night. We're going to have our last question. And then, now we got a lot of questions, but as I mentioned last night in the last one, I will give you all the questions that we've received. I'll send those to you, then if you want to answer them to your followers, please do so. This question is regarding technology. What is your stance on integrating technology in the classroom, and how would you ensure all students have equal access to these resources? This final one, we'll start with candidate number 4.
Well, technology is something that we definitely have to implement with our schools. I know me going to court, now Zoom's being done through appearances. So obviously I want the kids to be in the classroom, but there may be situations where the child, for some reason, cannot attend classroom. We have Zoom. So I would like to, if kids can't afford it, their families can't afford it, I would try to make that available for those students. So this way they can participate in the class. For whatever reason, kids suffer from medical illness, they're in the hospitals, and they need the help. So I would definitely want to implement technology. As far as computer technology, as far as teaching them the basics, they got to know that. For the real world, technology is everything. I mean, these phones are so powerful. I mean, I have it right in my pocket. These phones, I mean, if you go back when our grandparents were alive, I mean, this phone's smarter than Apollo 13. I mean, this thing can do so much. So we definitely have to keep in times with the age. One thing I would not want are phones being used during the classroom. I want those put away because they'll be a huge distraction. So it has to be carefully monitored by the teachers and making sure that it's not being abused in any way. Thank you.
Good number 1.
I was expecting it to come down the line. Okay, so technology is a tool, and it's an important tool. And fortunately, Glendora Unified had been behind for quite a bit of time as far as devices were concerned. The Glendora Education Foundation did a lot to really help out and fill that gap for a long time. But as I mentioned before, our ESSER funds that came through from COVID were able to get us to where every student in Glendora Unified has one-to-one devices. We were able to refresh all of the teachers' devices that were probably as old as most of the teachers at the time of that refresh. And those ESSER funds allowed us to build a budget as far as all of our technology refresh is concerned. We now know where those refreshes are going to come from. So those are just devices, and that's just utility that way. What I got really excited about when I was going around at back to school night at Glendora High School a few weeks ago was in one of the government classes. I was listening to how that teacher was going to incorporate AI into his classroom. These kids have been using ChatGPT before any of us in this room knew that it existed, right? They figure it out so much faster than we do. And so having them use that as a tool is how they're going to learn to use that appropriately. We're always going to have kids that try and take advantage of technology and use it to get around something or to cheat or whatever the case might be. But if you incorporate that into your lesson and have AI write your paper for you, and then you have to edit the AI paper so that you write it in your own words, it's genius. And it was wonderful hearing Mr. Smith talk about that in his government class. So I think we're doing a really good job with that.
Candidate number 2.
I'm going to go ahead and just say that I think the district's doing a decent job. You know, during COVID, we got on with the Chromebooks and making sure that there was a budget for it. And a previous IT director is a really good friend of mine, and so I know there was a lot of hard work and foundational work done in the district. I will say though, as technology, one of the things I want to discuss with technology that I think is important is to understand the role technology should have as it pertains to our security. So the schools are really lacking currently as it pertains to technology in the schools, whether it be enough broadband and things like that at the high school because people constantly don't have cell reception, or whether it be the lack of cameras at any schools. I talk to parents constantly who say, you know, I've lived in all over the country, and I can't believe that we don't have any cameras or security here. Those are the kinds of things that I think the technology is really lacking in. So more so the foundational infrastructure as opposed to like what kids are using. I think the kids are well equipped, and I think the IT department does a really good job. So I will say I think that as it pertains to technology, infrastructure is a good thing, and the other thing is we need to have people who are really competent in understanding what technology is doing to our students. Jonathan Haidt is a psychologist out of NYU who's recently wrote a book called The Anxious Generation about technology. My dissertation pre-COVID, it would have been amazing after COVID, was all in social media use and what it does for quality of life and depression levels. And a lot of schools are piloting programs where they're using yonder bags and kids are getting their phones locked up for the day and things like that. Those are the kinds of things that as we talk about technology, we need to really understand what is that doing to our children and what does that look like. So, you know, I think technology for the kids, Chromebooks, tablets, we're okay, we're there. But I think we have a long way to go to understand the whole landscape of technology in a more meaningful way.
Candidate number 3.
So tech in the classroom, mixed emotions there. One-to-one Chromebooks, that's been a good thing for them to have. Michael mentioned Zoom, having teachers be on Zoom when a student is absent. I think that would be PTSD for most of the teachers. That was a really rough time. We heard from them. I talked to teachers, and it's hard to take care of the students you have and still look at the camera and make sure that one is taken care of. We recently changed policy. I think the students had to be out for 3 days, and then they could go on goal or they could get their homework. Now it's 1 day if they're going to be out for a while. Goal is our Glendora Online Academy of Learning, and they have a teacher who is in charge of that, and there are some Zoom lessons with that, but that would be the best way to handle someone who is in the hospital or is going to be out for a long time. When I was first running for school board, I met with this man who grew up in Germany and was talking about how after the war they were in a basement with chalkboard and chalk, and why don't we do that now? We can't do that. There is so much technology that it has changed. I mean, just in a few years, it just changes all the time. And we have to be able to teach our students how to responsibly use technology. And I think with the cell phones, that the teachers need to have control of their classroom. If they want to have the students lock up their cell phones when they come in, I think that's a good thing. It's up to the teachers, and the parents need to support that.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now it's time for final statements. As when we opened, we went from 1 to 4. Now we're going to go from 4 to 1. So, and the report.
All right. Well, again, thank you for attending here today and listening to all of us. And I also want to thank Rob and Elizabeth for your service on the school board. But I'm running because we need new change. I love this school. I'm all about academic excellence. My career speaks for itself. I run a successful business. I want to bring structure into our board. I'm not here to be, I could say, in the classroom. I think I'll be more of a distraction if I was in the classroom. I want to be helping our schools. We have, what, 9 to 10 schools. One Williams School, and then we have Whitcomb. I mean, there's only 70 students. We got to address issues. I want to meet and talk to every school. I want to help everyone. One thing about me is, and I'll bring out the room, I have no kids, but that makes me fair. I want to treat every school fair. I want to treat Stanton fair, La Fetra, we have Sandburg. I want to listen to those teachers. I feel like certain ones are getting singled out because there's special interests. I have no special interests. I'm just in the community. I love the city. I want what's best for the community. Academic excellence, I want high quality. I want to give the teachers the support they need. I will balance the budget to help them on anything I can do to help support that. I'm very good at cutting costs. I run our business and it's been very thriving just by cutting costs. So I think I'll be a great asset for the board because I bring leadership. I'm an attorney, so I can understand the legal aspects of it. When we get lawsuits or anything like that, I'll be able to guide the board members on the right decision that we should make and be a great asset for this community. Thank you.
Since I've been on the board, we have made many great strides. As I mentioned before, we were overstaffed, so we offered some very good teacher incentives for retirement. We started dual language immersion. I know it's not all me, but I can be a nag. I was really excited, and I feel like this is a major push for our children to learn to become bilingual and to learn multicultural. The dual enrollment agreements, the expansion of CTE, the aviation, robotics, the STEAM rooms. I have been here on this board. The most important thing is I have the leadership, the experience, and the qualification of being a school board member. I will be in the classroom. I walk the campuses. I know the principals. I get to know the teachers. I talk to the students. I love these kids. I love Glendora. As I said, I've been here for 38 years, and I have been involved in my children's education. I had a daughter who's in special ed. Now my grandson is in special ed at Sutherland. I have GATE kids. I have 4 of my students who went on to graduate. 2 of them have masters from college. I am a mom. And as a mom, I love kids. And as a grandmother, I love those little kids even more. As a former teacher and a former substitute teacher, and as someone who has been president wherever I go practically, because I'm loud and obnoxious, shy in big groups, I am the one who can see this through.
Well, I want to thank everybody for their time tonight. I thank all of you for sticking it out because you've been here this entire time. How many times did mental health come up tonight? We keep hearing about it. We hear about it, whether it's in the city, whether it's in the community, whether it's in the schools, over and over again. Mental health support and mental health as a priority keeps coming up. And even this is Wellness Week for the schools, for those of you who don't know, and so we're talking about wellness constantly. As somebody who's been in the mental health field my entire life, as somebody who's worked with kids and people with special needs my entire life, I think I have a pretty decent skill set that can help this community and that can help the school district. When you're looking at what you want for your school board, you want a board that's prepared for whatever the issues are tomorrow. We know what the issues were yesterday. We know what the issues were last year. The board that you need is the board that's ready for whatever comes up. And because with that, you need diversity of experience. We have a business person on the board, we have an administrator, we have somebody who's an advocate for students. And how great would it be to round out that board with an attorney and somebody who's a mental health professional ready to support our students any way we can. You know, the job of a school board member is to have a vision for the future, be a good steward of our finances, and make sure that we keep our superintendent in check. That's really it. It's really nice in that way. We can't be in a situation where we're sending money out the door, where we're upsetting families and sending students out the back door, and when we're having all kinds of problems. So I am excited that I would have opportunity to get to meet all of you, to speak with all of you, and to talk to people in the community. I'm somebody who's never afraid of a conversation, and my wife calls me a painful extrovert because of it. So please, if you see me, stop me, say hi, ask if you want to go get a coffee, if you want to have breakfast, whatever it is. I'll never turn that down. But I'm somebody who's available. And I think that's the biggest thing, is somebody who's available and active in the community. Thank you.
And candidate number 1.
I do want to thank you all for attending here this evening. As I said at the onset of the program, informed voters is what we're all looking for this evening. And I ask you all to share this video that's being taken right now and the thoughts that you all have taken away from this forum, and share them with your friends and your neighbors and have conversations about what you all heard tonight. I've talked a lot about the important initiatives that this board is undertaking. Student success, meeting every student where they are, supporting all of our employees, fiscal responsibility, declining enrollment, facility needs, all very important initiatives that the board has incredible forward momentum on right now, and that we want to keep that momentum going without interruption. Now is the time, now is not the time for us to try something new. Now is the time for us to move forward with experience for the benefit of our students, employees, and our community. I have that experience, and I am humbly asking you for your vote to keep that momentum moving forward.
Let's give them a round of applause.